So let's say you won the lottery, congratulations, and you want to buy an electric bike. What is the absolute best bike you can buy? In the beginning of this year, I did make a video covering what I thought was the absolute best bike on the market, but I think I just came across something that is even better. So I want to talk to you guys more about that today, as well as some other great options you have to choose from. And then I want to address this post I saw on Reddit asking what exactly is the difference between expensive and cheap electric bikes. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into this. Okay, so what is the best bike you can buy? First thing I need to point out here is that the term best is very subjective. What's best for me might not be the best for you. And for some people, a bike like this might be the best option. You're looking at an electric mountain bike or an MTB. At first glance, you might not even notice that it's electric because the battery is nicely integrated into the down tube. It uses a very minimal mid-drive electric motor. So that keeps the bike very sleek. It's also not that heavy, so it maintains the mountain bike attributes that a lot of people enjoy. The suspension is also just a level above what you're used to because it's long travel. The components like the drivetrain, the cassette, the brakes are all high quality name brand products, so you know that they're going to both work and last a long time. And you have other nice features like integrated lights, a dropper post, and fenders that fit the bike perfectly. The catch, however, is that because this bike is an electric assist mountain bike, the battery and the motor are not very impressive in a vacuum. So the battery has a capacity of just 710 watt hours, and the motor has a nominal power of just 250 watts. And the price tag is $6,500. So unfortunately, this bike doesn't meet my criteria for quote unquote the best. As the name kind of implies, it's specialized. It's a really fantastic electric mountain bike, but it's not a great overall electric bike. When I say best, I'm looking for the most suspension, power, range, features that I can possibly get. So in this category with this new definition, Cab Motorworks was one of the leading brands for quite a while. They have a few bikes in their lineup, and you can see by the price tag that these are all very premium performance electric bikes. Taking a look at the frame here, it's also mountain bike / dirt bike inspired. I prefer this design because the suspension tends to be the best in this configuration. We have long travel both in the front and the rear, making the ride both very capable off-road and just comfortable in everyday riding. Plus, you gotta admit the aesthetics are pretty appealing. So the stock battery here is 72 volts, 36 amp hours, and if you want to spend an additional $2,600, you can bump that up to 63 amp hours. The motor is 20 kilowatts, so extremely capable in essentially any scenario, and the stock range is estimated at 16 to 80 miles. Very wide range there because it highly depends on what you're doing with the bike. Yeah, and that suspension has 8 inches of travel in the front and an impressive 10 inches in the back. So the Recon is expensive, $10,000, but in comparison to the specialized bike we just saw, I think you guys can see how this is a better overall package for most people. So these are certainly impressive machines, but even these I don't think are the best on the market. I think you can do even better. And for a long time, I thought this was that better option. It is the new Stinger S from Huck Cycles. Again, this has that dirt bike design, giving it fantastic suspension, both front and rear. There's 2 variants, but the high performance model has a 3 kilowatt motor, 8.5 kilowatts peak, which is less than the bikes we just saw, but the battery is what makes this one very special. It has dual 72 volt, 50 amp hour batteries for a total energy capacity of 7.2 kilowatt hours. That is the highest I have ever seen. We also have other very high quality components like a BAC 4000 controller, and this high performance model will cost you $9,500. But in my opinion, I think this bike that I've recently discovered takes the crown for the best overall bike you can buy today. I do want to give the disclaimer that I'm not affiliated with any of these companies I'm talking about. This is simply based off of the research that I've conducted myself. And eleek, this company, is based in Ukraine, which does complicate the logistics of buying from them. I personally did try and email them, ask some questions about the product, but unfortunately, I never heard back. I hope they're all doing okay. But from what I can gather, they really made something special here. So the frame, again, it's very similar to the other bikes on this list. It's that dirt bike, mountain bike design, long travel suspension, both front and rear. To be more specific, it looks like we have a D&M inverted front fork with a through axle and a D&M shock in the back. I really like this custom seat design. It looks to be very comfortable, as well as just adding to the aesthetics. It even enables you to add a rack on the back, which is something that you don't usually have with this frame. And speaking of things that you don't usually have with this frame, full length fenders front and rear. Quickly come back to the Recon. This bike, even though the frame is similar, we're missing those features of fenders, a rack. It's more bare bones, and it costs more. The Atom from Eleek is less than 5,000 USD. And I just can't believe that for 5,000 bucks you get a bike that looks this phenomenal. But this bike is a lot more than just something pretty to look at. The controller can push 300 amps. The battery, as expected, is 72 volts, 50 amp hours of capacity. Again, the price tag here is just under 5,000 bucks. That is amazing. And for the motor, they use the very popular, well-known QS205, which is a nominal of 3,000 watts with a rather aggressive winding of 5T. And for those that don't know, the winding speed of a motor affects the speed and the torque. So being that this is a 5T motor, it is on the torque side of that spectrum, which I think is great considering it's a hub motor. That's usually one of the areas that they lack. But here, because of that winding and the high voltage battery and the amazing controller, that should not be an issue. Okay, now as promised, I do want to finish off the video by addressing this post I saw on Reddit, which is titled, "What is really the main difference between cheap and expensive e-bikes?" He explains how he's looking to buy an e-bike for the first time, and this is the model in particular he's looking at. It's certainly on the budget end of the spectrum, and he wants to know the difference between something like this and something more expensive. Budget bikes, at least some of them, are becoming really compelling. I recently reviewed a bike that was less than 1,000 bucks. It gave you fat tires. It was full suspension. Technically, it had a good seat, very comfortable to ride. The top speed, the range was all okay. But of course, even from a bike like that, there are a lot of things that could be improved upon that I think a lot of people will desire shortly after buying a cheaper bike. I'm not saying that you need to buy one of these crazy high-performance $10,000 bikes I was just talking about in this video, but there are fantastic middle grounds between these two extremes that I think really give you phenomenal value. And right now, my favorite bike in this category has to be the Wired Freedom. It's $2,000, and you get a crazy powerful battery. It's 60 volts, 20 amp hours, giving you 30 plus miles of range, and that's real range. Full throttle, ripping it hard. The battery is also legit. They use high quality name brand cells. So you don't have to worry about potential issues there, which is often a drawback with cheaper bikes. Another benefit of the Wired Freedom over cheaper budget bikes is the support. It is very easy to email the company, and the overall fit and finish on the Wired Freedom is nice. Things like the grips, the brakes, they have Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, even the tires, they have higher quality brand name tires than most bikes come with stock. So there's a big difference between a $1,000 bike and a $2,000 bike, and those are some of the reasons why you might want to consider spending a little bit more. But from this point on, $2,000 to $10,000, yes, you will get higher performance, higher voltage, but it is going to be diminishing returns. The value will begin to fall off a cliff at a certain level. But if you can't afford a $5,000 or even $10,000 electric bike, they can be a ton of fun, and I showed you guys some of the best options, in my opinion, in this video. So that's gonna do it. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.